Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, December the 7th. Ian Cameron and Alex B. Smith back in action on this Saturday, ready to break down the Saturday NHL card. We got 11 games on tap. Excited to talk about them all coming up in just a moment. We'll go quickly through the Friday recap. It was obviously just 4 games last night taking place in the NHL. And we started, of course, with a Washington Capitals victory, 6 games, I should say, last night. A Washington Capitals victory against Toronto, 3-1. No first period over, unfortunately. Full game over also falls short, but Washington does get the victory. We took them system play number 2 with the team off a loss to San Jose, which now improves to 8-2 on the season. So Capitals with a nice, great defensive game. They basically outdid Toronto at their own game. Toronto's been excellent defensively, great goaltending. Well, guess who was great defensively with great goaltending last night? Washington. Lindgren was really good. It was one of the best games I've seen him play this season. And defensively, look, they shut down the Leafs, and that was key, obviously, in that performance and in that victory over the Leafs. And a credit to the Capitals bouncing back after a bad taste in their mouth, losing to San Jose, to come back and beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 3-1 last night. New Jersey, 3-2 win over Seattle. Tough spot for Seattle, the back-to-back. Very tough beat for those that were on the full game over, including me. As we just get the 1 goal in the third period for it to stay under. We did have the first period over, though, so we split the over by fecta there. The New York Rangers, first game with life without their former captain, Jacob Trouba, and it ended up being a very, very solid performance and a victory for the New York Rangers against the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-2 last night. Do they become a bit of a bet-on team now without Jacob Trouba? That's the question. They've gone through the abyss. They've gone through the dark times. And now with Trouba gone, every Ranger fan was screaming about how wretched he was defensively throughout the course of the year. I don't know, maybe addition by subtraction, and the Rangers get back on track. Alex is nodding. You agree with that, huh?
I agree. That's exactly what I was about to say. Addition by subtraction. He's been either a distraction or a problem for a long time, and he needed to go. And I thought what was funny about the trade was the quote from Pat Verbeek saying that, he's a well-respected guy around the league and a great leader and a hard-working player. And it's like, was he watching Jacob Trouba highlights from Winnipeg? Wasn't a whole lot of that, and once he made that flip around, and certainly in New York. So I don't know how that's going to work for Anaheim and that young group, but definitely, like I said, if Vaakainen's a young, good defenseman, I think that might be a boost now, which a much needed boost and a change around for the Rangers.
No doubt, and certainly we saw them get off to a solid showing in their first game without Jacob Trouba with that 4-2 victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins. 3-2 Vegas over Dallas last night. A solid win for the Golden Knights as they have a nice little win streak going here this week. A solid performance from them. Great performance in particular, though, by Adin Hill, because Dallas really came on in the third period. They were down 3-1. A couple of penalties got Dallas in trouble. A couple power play goals last night for Vegas gave them the cushion. And Dallas was pressing hard to get back in that game. They did get it to 3-2, but that's as close as they got. But Adin Hill was phenomenal. And this is now the 3rd or 4th game in a row. He's looked like the 2023 Stanley Cup champion version of Adin Hill. And that is a good sign for the Vegas Golden Knights, certainly, in what they've been able to get from him here in the last few games. Looking like that old Adin Hill, no question about that.
I wonder where the haters last year, was a whole lot of people in the chat who said, Hill and Thompson's not the best. Or they said that they were the better duo in the league compared to, I said, everybody was Olmark and Swayman. And I said, Hill and Thompson, pretty good. Now that we've seen those guys split apart, Logan Thompson doing all right in Washington, and Adin Hill is looking, like I said, like championship form in Vegas. So.
Yeah, no question about it. He is looking solid, Adin Hill, once again. And good news for Vegas, because last year was obviously not a great year for him. I got a vent, though, about what happened in the third period, the penalty that was called on Mason Marchment at the beginning of the third period. I mean, snow shower the goalie, and we're giving him 2 minutes for that.
Insane.
Totally absurd. Absolutely nuts. We see that millions of times in the course of the NHL season, that, a player, whether it's accidentally on purpose or just on purpose, gives the goalie a little snow.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. That's
If
not
it's
a
a
penalty.
couple of times in a game, and then I'm fine with an
You at
unsportsmanlike.
least give him a warning first when he does it the
Yeah,
first time.
but doing that one time that should not be 2 minutes. No.
That's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous, that call.
And
last
it's not
night.
like we were also looking at a game where there was a bunch of fights and a bunch of shit, and you're trying to corral everybody. Those are the only two reasons I would ever be okay with that. If we had a game where it was just violent and there was a bunch of dirty hits and fights, and that's happening because you're trying to invoke something when doing that, then give a 2-minute penalty. Or if you're doing it multiple times in a game, that's 2 minutes. But once should certainly not be a penalty.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Vancouver, nice job. They were awful in the first period. Clearly something was said. Rick Tocchet said in the postgame, it was Quinn Hughes talking to the group. He said he didn't even have to talk to them about that first period. Down 2-0, outshot 17-2. 17-2 in the first period were the shots in favor of Columbus, but 5 unanswered after that, and the Canucks respond the right way with a nice 5-2 victory over the Columbus Blue Jackets last night, bouncing back strong, clearly, from the rough first period. First period as well, following that long road trip, so that probably played a part in how bad they were at the start, but Vancouver rolls with the 5-2 win. And speaking of rolling, Minnesota with a 5-1 victory over the Anaheim Ducks. They just continue to own Anaheim, and the team total, I said, was probably worth a bet there, and sure enough, it cashed Minnesota team total over 3.5, as did Alex B. Smith's Bargain Bin Special. He wasn't on the show yesterday, but he did send it along. It was posted on the Patreon page yesterday. Marco Rossi to collect 2 points at plus 400, and he does for Minnesota in the victory. Alex, anything more you'd like to add about last night before we move to Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, that game, it's just incredible, the domination that the Wild have had over the Ducks. I think 17 of the last 18 meetings they've won now. And that's, like I said, that's a great prop game and just a great bet on game when you have the Wild, certainly even traveling to Anaheim. Like I said, it doesn't matter home or road. So it's good to take advantage of those spots and like to get another bargain bin winner. So on to a good Saturday we go.
On to a big Saturday card we go indeed. And we begin with the first of 3 matinee affairs on this Saturday. Utah Buffalo minus 120, road favorites, total here at 6, shaded to the under in this game. This is what I like to usually do with Buffalo games, because I find they can sometimes get a little up and down. Defense can be a little bit questionable, in some of these games. And I think we got a chance to see that here. I am on a small over by Fecta to get the day going, over 1.5, over 6. It's just knowing what Buffalo sometimes plays like in these early start day games. I think a lot of them have been more high scoring than not. Maybe we see that here again, especially with Buffalo off a 3-2 loss to Winnipeg. Probably a little onus to get a little more punch going offensively in this game. I lean Buffalo too. I mean, I'm not running a bet minus 120, but it's certainly a spot scheduling advantage here for the Sabres, with them being used to these early afternoon games on a Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is obviously 11 a.m. local time back in Utah for this game, and an early start time for a team that's, from out west. So it's definitely an advantage in that regard for Buffalo. I like Buffalo's game against Winnipeg. And honestly, I like Buffalo's game against Colorado until the bad third period. They've really played 5 pretty good periods of hockey if you take away the third period debacle against Colorado, against good teams, the Avs and the Jets. So I kind of feel this is Buffalo's spot to win. Maybe we'll lay a small minus 120 bet on them. Nothing significant, little over by Fecta. None of these bets are super strong, big bets for me, but something to get the day going. Alex, what do you think here? Utah, Buffalo.
Yeah, really small beer bets on the over by Factor here. This of the 2-day games is the one I like a little bit less. But like I said, yeah, would lean toward Buffalo just because, like I said, the familiarity of playing the early games, where Utah, even when they were the Arizona Coyotes, didn't get too many 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock starts anywhere in North America for that matter. So yeah, it could be a little bit of an advantage for the Buffalo.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, Philadelphia and Boston. This is also a 1 Eastern start time at TD Garden. Of course, they're very, very used to these type of games at 1 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon at home. Boston minus 160, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. Boston, let's give Boston their credit. I mean, since Joe Sacco's been there, more wins than losses. I don't think their schedule's been overly difficult. The fact remains they've found ways to win. and get victories during this stretch of games. We'll see if that can carry over here into this game here tonight, taking on or this afternoon rather, taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. For Philadelphia, I love the effort we're seeing from them lately. Unfortunately, they need better goaltending, and I don't know if the guy in net today, Alexei Kolosov, don't put it off, fade Kolosov, I don't know if he's capable of giving it to them right now, nor is Fedotov, as we've talked about. And that's what's hurting Philly right now. I like the effort. They're getting some offense. They're not getting saves right now consistently, this Philadelphia team. That being said, I like their effort. I'm tempted to take them. It's at this price, it's Philly or pass. But it's kind of like the Florida game for me, where if I like Philly to compete, I don't trust their goalies, so I've got to probably go the team total route instead. And that's kind of the way I feel about this game. So I do like a little bit the Flyers team total over, 2.5, minus 115, minus 120. It's actually a pretty good price on it. A little less of a sprinkle on the money line just because I'm petrified of Kolosov and his weak form. But I'm also going to sprinkle on the draw as well. I think we're going to have a chance to see a close game here. Pretty tight, competitive game. Boston is playing some solid hockey in the Sacco era so far to begin it. And I like the way Philly's been competing. I see this like a one-goal game wouldn't shock me. A chance to see overtime wouldn't shock me. So we'll go with a little Flyer team total over, little Flyer money line, little draw here to get in this one with the Flyers and the Bruins. Alex, what do you think here? Philly, Boston.
Yeah, I grabbed this last night. I got the draw at plus 350 at BetMGM. Of course, still the best book of the prices right now. Like I said, we know Philly's just been a machine when it comes to going past OT. And, total scared me a little bit because, like I said, Boston's been in more of an under team. Philly's been getting the offense rolling. And with these day starts, though, both teams tend to try to play a little bit slower. So that's why I like the draw here. I wouldn't take a correct score shot. Just not sure who the goals are going to come from in this one. But definitely do like this one going past 60.
Yeah, I think Morgan Geeky's someone to keep an eye on. I've talked about him for Boston for a while. He's playing up on the top line lately. He's certainly done a nice job getting this offense going a little bit for the Bruins. Maybe someone to consider here as far as a goal prop is concerned for Flyers and Bruins. All right, next up, we've got Winnipeg and Chicago. The Winnipeg Jets minus 200 road favorites, 5.5 the total. Obviously, the big news in Chicago, the firing of Luke Richardson. Anders Sorensen, head coach at Rockford for the American League team, gets the call up to the big leagues to become the interim head coach with the Chicago Blackhawks. He's done great work with Edson Vlasic, Alex Vlasic, Lucas Reichel, Nolan Allen. He's been working with Frank Nazar down there. All those prospects for the Blackhawks, and everyone's lauding and praising the work he's done down there with that team. No question about that. Now, I talked about my thoughts on the coaching change yesterday on the show. Alex was not on the show, obviously, yesterday under the weather. So we haven't heard from Alex, the Blackhawks fan, yet about his thoughts on the coaching change. Alex, Luke Richardson out. Your thoughts?
So it was about an hour before Richardson got fired, and I was having a chat with an old friend and stuff. And he was asking me about the Hawks, and I told him, I said, they're growing. The development's fine. I said, but they got to make a change at coach. I said, something's got to happen. And I didn't think anything was because 3 weeks ago, Kyle Davidson told all of us that, it was crazy to think that Luke Richardson could be fired. But then 3 weeks happened and the Hawks played the way they did over those last 3 weeks. And now Richardson gets the boot. I am pleasantly surprised and thrilled with what I've heard from Anders Sorensen in his press conference and just everything that has kind of taken place with their first practice. They're making the right changes as far as line juggling, getting Tyler Bertuzzi in that power play one spot in the net front. Something I mentioned literally when we did the Hawks preview, talking about why I like Tyler Bertuzzi over goals and liked him with points this year because of the fact that I thought he would be a perfect guy in front of the net, especially when you have guys like Bedard shooting from the point and others. And just a quote from him directly, where he says, I just want to have good pace and some energy. The biggest thing we've got is to enjoy the competitive part of the game and get to speed that way. We've got a lot of fast skaters on this team, and we have to utilize that speed. So everything that I've talked about with this team and things that I believe should have been done, Sorensen's saying it. So I'm happy with this hire. Now, obviously, he's got to produce the results and quickly to keep his job and get the interim tag off of his name. But he is the 38th Blackhawks in Chicago Blackhawks history. And we'll see what he gets to do today against a Jets team that, been on this road trip. We talked about how they had to travel back and forth everywhere they've gone for the last 2.5, almost 3 weeks. And now you have a Hawks team, 3 o'clock local start on a Saturday. Like I said, this is a little different spot than, say, the 6 o'clock Sunday. There's a big crowd, usually a family-friendly crowd. That's a crowd that's going to be rocking and rolling. I think now with the new coaching bump as well at plus 170, the Hawks are definitely a fire on for me. So let's go Hawks. I think they get the job done there.
Right there with you. Yep, Chicago money line for me. I also split it with Chicago team total over 2.5. I think that's worth a look. Again, the emphasis is pace. The emphasis is letting Connor Bedard, Tyler Bertuzzi, Taylor Hall, Lucas Reichel, Philip Kurashev. I'm also hearing we might see more Philip Kurashev more. And we'll see if that will, he's a polarizing figure. He's underachieved, but, maybe now Sorensen being back there gets a little bump from him too, offensively.
And I don't mind Lucas Reichel being the fourth line center. I know everybody looks at that automatically as, oh, it's a demotion because he was getting top 6 minutes with Richardson. No, if anything, you're adding balance to this lineup. Not much scoring depth, but Reichel, when he's hot, I mean, like I said, if we're talking about utilizing speed, bringing everybody up into the rush, he would be the catalyst on the fourth line. You're not relying on Craig Smith to start scoring your goals ad nauseum. It's going to have to be Reichel to score from that line. So having someone,
or the trooper, even though we love the trooper, Jason Dickinson,
right, and the trooper, right. He's gonna bounce around, right? Like that's one thing that there's gonna be guys like him and even Kurashev. Those guys aren't gonna stay in the same spots night in and night out. But I still believe now with what Sorensen's trying to, what he's at least talking about preaching at this point, having 4 balanced lines and having somebody who can score on each line is going to be imperative, and that's just good. Like I said, all signs point positive now, mostly green flags.
Yeah, it sounds great. Let's hope it looks great now moving forward for the Chicago. At least looks better, obviously, than it did. And I do want to acknowledge on the way out the door, this is not one of those awful man, awful coach. No,
right.
Good coach, Luke Richardson. There is. Yes. Now he's good at building. He builds structure, and he did a great job of that, because you're right. Chicago defensively, you saw better improvement from them, but unfortunately the offense kind of got stunted during his tenure there. And as far as a quality individual, he's very quality individual, great man, and we certainly wish him well in the future. He'll find work again. Trust me, he will.
Oh, and I mean, you saw if you watched the press conference with Kyle Davidson, he got all emotional at the end to saying, if you want good people in your corner, somebody with Luke and his wife said that the 2 of the best people you could ever meet and be around. And like I said, we saw what he did in Montreal. We saw what he's done down in Chicago. He's a builder. And that's big, right? We think about David Quinn, right? David Quinn was in the league a decade ago with the Rangers and the Sharks, and he was a builder. You need those coaches when you have teams that are rebuilding. I'm sure that we talked about Pittsburgh with the inevitable rebuild coming up soon. Other teams that are in that shape. Luke Richardson would be a perfect fit for any team that's trying to rebuild and get things restructured and going through those growing pains. Yeah, he's a quality guy, and he did what he was going to do. He took the Hawks as far as he can go. He took the Habs as far as he can go. So like I said, this is not a knock on him. This is not a get the hell out of town like every other Chicago coach that's been fired this year. This is just it was time for a split, and thanks for your work. We got to move on.
Yeah, no question. I think that's really what it boiled down to. It was time to make this change. And at the end of the day, like I said, it just something that had to happen. Something had to change based on, the one thing that couldn't happen under Luke Richardson's watch, especially in year 2 for him. You can't have Connor Bedard get worse in year 2 than in year 1. And there's been elements of it looking that way at times. And I think that was kind of a blow to the Richardson, and one of the things that kind of sent him out the door as well. Connor Bedard's kind of stuck in mud at the moment. Can't happen.
Yeah.
Just can't happen.
And I think, too, like I said, now that he's playing on the wing, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of him. Yeah. Having him trying to be Jonathan Taves 2.0 at the faceoff dot certainly was never – I didn't think that was in any of the plans, to be honest, right? Like, I don't think we were drafting Connor Bedard to have him win 60% faceoffs every year. We were more than likely wanted him to get 40, 50 goals every year. So put him in wing. Don't even have him worry about having to take faceoffs. Let him worry about his offensive game. And I think that's the thing that Sorensen's going to do. That's going to be the biggest boost. If you're talking about props, and I will have a few small props, not just bargain bin stuff. I'm just going to have – I like Bedard to get a goal. I would look for Bedard 2 points. I would look for Teuvo Teravainen. As Lando mentioned in the chat, he scored 3 of the last 4 games he's
I
played
agree with
against
that.
Winnipeg.
I agree with that.
So
Yep.
there's a lot of guys to look for in the Hawkeyes. Like I said, over 5.5. I would also be playing that as well. Not so much first period over, because we've seen the trend with these two teams specifically kind of go more under, especially with Winnipeg. You know, they're still a physical team, still a solid defensive team. So I would look at over 5.5 as well.
Yeah, I lean over 5.5. That's the one I like the least. I like Chicago and the Chicago team total a little bit more. But I might even tack on, because Winnipeg was, and you talked about all the travel, and Winnipeg kind of looked slow out of the gate against Buffalo. They gave up an early goal. I think a first period look to Chicago too, potentially in this game. That the first 20 minutes just flying off the adrenaline rush of the coaching change, the new voice, the new face behind the bench, and Winnipeg, the slow start they had against Buffalo, even though they came back and won. We've mentioned it on this show multiple times in a row when Winnipeg's played, how they've played. They've traveled every game since November the 9th. And here we go, Buffalo to Chicago for a very early start game here, coming up on this afternoon, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. So to me, this is a situation where I think it's Winnipeg's in for a tough game here this afternoon in Chicago. All right, this is actually, I misspoke. There's 4 afternoon games. This is the 4th and final afternoon game. Carolina and the New York Islanders. Carolina minus 190, road favorites. 6, the total shaded to the under. Give me Carolina over 3.5 team total. I'm not going to overthink it. 16 and what is it now? 17-5 in the last 22 games. 17 of the last 22, at least 4 goals scored for the Carolina Hurricanes. This Islanders team is dog shit. I'm fully ready to say that. When they couldn't even win in the fucking system the other day against Seattle, coming off the loss to Montreal, that's enough of these guys. And Carolina, I like the momentum play too, right? Snapped a little losing streak, beating gosh, I'm blanking on who they beat now the other night. Carolina. Colorado. Yeah, it was Colorado at home. Yeah, easy choice for me. Carolina team total over 3.5 in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Hurricanes, Islanders.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And you can get plus price at FanDuel, plus 102 with that over 3.5. I'll be riding with that as well.
Yeah. There's nothing more to say. It's simple. You know, Carolina team total overs have been great for me, and this is a spot to take it. Build some momentum back up again after breaking the losing streak, and you got the right team to do it against this horrible, wretched New York Islanders team. And by the way, it looks like we're going to have Ilya Sorokin in net for the New York Islanders. By the way, with Kochek, I'm seeing that it could actually be called up from the minors, Dustin Tokarski, believe it or not, for the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't even know if it matters. Like, people might think, well, maybe this is good for the Islanders. Is it? Can they score? Can they do anything about it? And Tokarski's one of those guys that occasionally he's turned in one of these 38 save type of deals out of nowhere and played well. He'll be stoked. And he's got a good blue line in front of him. Remember, he's got a good team in front of him now. This ain't Pittsburgh. This ain't Buffalo anymore. You know, this is it's a little bit of Montreal. He also played there for a bit when they were really bad. You know, he's got a better team in front of him now. So if it does happen to be Tokarski, yeah, I don't think that.
And here's the thing. In Rosemont with the Wolves, he's 4-1 with a 1.90 goals against average. So he's actually, or 1.61 goals against average. So he's been playing around. He's been the Wolves' best goalie for sure. So
yeah, no doubt. So yeah, like I said, but then again, that's exactly why I like the Carolina team total over. I don't have to worry about Tokarski or how he plays. It's just score 4 goals. Carolina's done that 17 of the last 22 games. And that's what we'll rock with here in this one. All right, San Jose and Florida. We've got Florida minus 400 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. San Jose got absolutely pulverized by Tampa Bay, 8-1 in their last game. They'll certainly be looking to bounce back here in this spot against Florida. Are they capable of it is the question. The Florida Panthers, you would think they lost the game with some of the talk after the Philly game. They didn't love the way they played. Certainly weren't happy going into the third period, but they had a hell of a great third period to come back, rally back, beat Philadelphia 7-5, what turned into a bit of a shootout there between the Panthers and the Flyers. The Panthers have actually gone over the total 4 of their last 5 games. They've been a scoring machine, 7, 4, 6, 6, and 5 goals for this Panthers team in the last 5 games, winning 4 of those 5 games. So the offense is just absolutely humming right now for the Florida Panthers. Mackenzie Blackwood confirmed for San Jose. Sergei Bobrovsky back from his absence away with his wife giving birth, but is back here for the Florida Panthers, and we'll start here in this game tonight. Total sitting at 6.5 here across the board. 4.5. I was hoping for 3.5. I would have played a Florida team total, but it's 4.5. I'm going to pass at that particular number. I certainly lean to a Panthers team total here in this game. I look at this as a situation where San Jose, I don't like betting against teams either off of even a team like San Jose off 8-1 beatdown. You got to think there's pride and they're going to look to bounce back. And keep in mind, they've been working hard and they had won 4 or 5 before that blowout loss to Tampa Bay the other night. So this might be a sneaky San Jose first period. I might dabble in that. It's ugly. It's going up ahead, obviously, against the Stanley Cup champions. But I don't trust them for 60. Florida probably could come back from an early hole and win. But I think in the first 20, you're going to get San Jose with some pride after just getting absolutely embarrassed by Tampa Bay. So I might just sprinkle on a little San Jose to score in the first period and or San Jose money line in the first period. And Bobrovsky's been off for some period of time as well, with the birth of his kid. So maybe not sharp early in the game. So maybe just a small San Jose look early, either a first period just to score, and you can get a decent price on that because they're such a huge underdog, and also maybe a little small first period money line. Alex, what do you think? Sharks, Panthers?
He's not a new dad, right? He has kids already, correct?
Yeah, I think this is his second, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had one already.
That would be a bump for a goalie if it was his firstborn. But yeah, so no angle here. So this is a complete pass.
Yeah. All right. What do you like here, Sharks and Panthers?
Oh, it's a pass.
Oh, it's a pass. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, complete pass.
There we go. All right, no doubt. That was so quick. I was like, whoa. Okay, Alex is passing here when it comes to the Sharks and the Panthers. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. All right, Nashville and Ottawa. This is definitely that was an early evening game, I guess you could say, 6 p.m. Eastern for San Jose, Florida. This one at 7 p.m. Eastern, Nashville and Ottawa. You've got Ottawa minus 120 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. This is very simple for me. Ottawa, until Nashville shows me something, how do you bet this team right now? They absolutely cannot get out of their own way. They're in an absolutely dreadful funk right now. They can't score goals. They can't keep the puck out of their own net either. But it's really the offense that's been shockingly bad considering who they added in the offseason. And Ottawa bounces back from a kind of a lackluster road trip out west with the way it went, and they come back home and they take care of business with a win against Detroit. Not pretty, but they do find a way to win that game by a score of 2-1. That being said, I could see this being a close game. The draw, I think, might be worth a look here, but certainly on Ottawa here, minus 120. It's nothing to like with Nashville right now, and it feels like Brunette. It's a ticking time bomb waiting to explode right now with Andrew. And I hate to say that because Barry Trotz has already said multiple times to the media this year, he's our coach. We like him. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but when the losses keep on mounting, it continues to be a problem, and eventually you're going to have to deal with it. And so, yeah, I like Ottawa here. Now, this is the system play, but I'll tell you what, and I am on the system play, obviously. Nashville off a shutout loss, 3-0, over 1.5, over 6 here, or over 5.5, I should say, in this game. I'm on the over by factor, but Nashville has fucked up the last time I took them in the system play. I remember it. It was Nashville-Seattle, the second time in Seattle, and it was a dead nuts under. Didn't even get close. First period over or full game over, and they are not scoring right now. So I am on the system play because the system's the system. It's still a strong track record overall this year. Let me give you the numbers coming into today on it. 33-19, 29-18-5, first period over, full game over, respectively. But Nashville was one of the losses in the system play, I think the last time they were in the system off a shutout loss. That being said, we're on it, the over by Fecta, as well as Ottawa. Alex, what do you think here? Preds, Sens.
So yeah, I'm with you on Senators. I played that money line, actually $1.15 at BetMGM, and I also did over 5.5 pregame. But I'm gonna wait for first period over end game. I'm trying to get that at a plus price. The plus, I'm seeing minus 120, minus 125. I think we can wait a couple of minutes and get a better price in game on that. I was laughing when you mentioned about with Brunette getting the axe because I watched the majority of Nashville and Montreal the other night, and TSN just, I don't know, they edited their production team, the cut that they had to Andrew Burnett being on the bench, and then they cut back up to Barry Trotz, and the look on his face. And the look on his face said, you know what? If this shit doesn't get fixed, I'm going to go down there myself and fix it. And I would not be shocked one bit if they do fire Andrew Burnett, that Barry Trotz is the guy who replaces him. So it'll be interesting to see, but certainly not what they were hoping for in Music City right now.
This man has truly become my database, a human database for me. He's sending me stuff every day. Jonathan Davis. Nashville full game over in the system is 3-1. You know what the one loss was then the last time, and that's the one that comes to my mind, the Seattle game, because it was like 0-0, and it was like 1-0. It was a very low-scoring game. I remember it. Nashville in Seattle, the last time they were in the system. But that's still the only full game over loss when Nashville has been a system play candidate this season. So it's still 3 of the 4, pretty good as far as a success rate with the full game over. So yeah, we're on it, over by Fecta, and Alex on just the full game over here.
We'll be adding, but I will be adding it. I will be adding it in game. I will have first period over. Just don't have it right now.
Yeah, just we'll add it during the game. Get the couple minutes score. Let's get a better price in game with it. All right, Colorado and Detroit. We got the Avs minus 200. Huge road favorites here in this game in Detroit. Total 6.5 across the board here in this one. Maybe I was getting a little too carried away and high on the prospects of Scott Wedgwood the other night, but obviously he was in net against Carolina. They lose that game 5-3. We'll see if they can bounce back here in this game. Still, that being said, I think it could have been worse than that without Scott Wedgwood the other night, because they got totally outplayed in the first 2 periods, Colorado, in that game. So it'll be very interesting to see if Jared Bednar would have given another chance to Wedgwood, but he won't. It will be back to Alexander Georgiev in net for the Avs. Ville Husso will get the start for the Detroit Red Wings. Now, this is another thing that Jonathan sent me about Colorado. We have to bring it up because this is the first show we've done with Colorado since I found out about this, or since this info was passed along to me. First period money line for Colorado this year with Alexander Georgiev in net. It hasn't just been bad. It's been historically bad. Historically bad. It's like 0 for this season. They've had 15 losses and 3 ties, if I'm not mistaken, the Nashville Predators in the first period this year when Alexander Georgiev has been in net. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm taking Detroit first period in this game. I am. It's 0-15-3. It's something like that with Colorado first period money line this year with Alexander Georgiev in net. They have consistently fallen behind in these games this season when he's been in net. It's crazy. It's an unbelievable find. It's an unbelievable stat that they have just been that inept this year at falling behind early in games. So I will, Detroit, and not just Detroit money line, Detroit team total in the first period. I'm going to grab a little of that as well, because it's just, he gives up goals. Colorado gives up goals in the opening stanza, in the opening 20 minutes with Georgiev in net. It's clear as day. So that is absolutely stunning how bad it's been. And we saw it play out against Buffalo the last time Georgiev started. They got buried in the first period. Now, they haven't always been buried that much in the first period, but they have been consistently losing in the first period and falling behind in these games. No question about that. Yeah, I've 15-2, I believe, is what it is now after that Buffalo game the other night. So that's unbelievably bad. So I'm going to do a little Red Wings money lines, a team total first period type of deal, split between those two. I also like full game over because I don't trust Georgiev, and I don't trust, obviously, Husso at the end. Now, Husso played well the other night. He only gave up 2 goals in the loss to Ottawa. Better, at least, but not the guy I trust night to night. And you are facing a little bit more of a punch that Colorado will throw at you offensively, probably compared to Ottawa. So maybe even an over by Fect I stretch this into, but I don't like the price on the first period over. This might be one of those deals where if I bet first period over, I do the Alex B. Smith way of approaching it. Let's wait, get a couple 3 minutes into the game, maybe no goal, and we'll get a better in-game price with the first period over. But pregame, definitely the full game over 6.5. And I've got to take it now. That Detroit money line, Detroit team total over in the first period. Knowing this 0 for 17, 0 15 and 2, or 0 14 and 2, something along those lines with Georgiev in net for the Colorado Avalanche in the first period. That is some kind of bad in the opening 20 minutes with Georgiev in net this season. Unbelievable stat.
Yeah.
Alex, what do you think here? Colorado, Detroit.
So yeah, I'm right there with you on Detroit first period money line. But I'm going to do the stack. I usually do that correct score stack when I'm looking for the puck lines, but like I said, with that kind of a number, we can run with it. So Detroit to lead 1-0 after 20 plus 650. Detroit with a 2-0 lead plus 1600, and Detroit Red Wings 2-1 plus 1500. I will have those along with that money line plus 145 in the first period with the Red Wings.
All right, good stuff there. Yeah, as far as props go, I still think good value on Kovalenko, Colorado. I haven't given up on him, even though, he hasn't scored here, obviously, the last couple of games. He's still getting opportunity, and that's a lot of the prop bets I make. You're betting the opportunity of where they're placed in the lineup to score goals. They're not always going to score goals, but they're going to get the opportunity to do that, and I think that's what's critical. When you look at the Nikolai Kovalenko situation. Ross Colton actually might be moved back in the lineup too, and back on the second line with Middlestat. Actually, Kovalenko might be shifting down to the third line, so Colton might take that spot, which means Colton's probably in a nice little spot there from a value standpoint for Colorado. Lucas Raymond, Rasmussen's moved up to the top line with Larkin and Raymond. He's probably got some value. Even DeBrinket's starting to show signs maybe heating up a little bit, and I've mentioned Berggren a couple of times. He's been someone that's been, chipping in a little bit, and you certainly get a great price for him. All right, Toronto, Pittsburgh. Next up, we've got the Leafs minus 155 road favorites. The total in this game currently 6 shaded to the over in this game. We've got obviously both teams on the second night of a back-to-back here. The Leafs were at home to Washington, losing 3-1. The Pittsburgh Penguins were at Madison Square Garden against the Rangers. They lose 4-2. So both of those teams off of losses last night. But who's the better of these two teams? It's certainly, in my opinion, Toronto. They didn't love their execution last night. Just not handling the puck well. They still defended well. Stolarz was fine in net. In fact, he still gave them a chance, even though they lost to the Capitals last night. They just didn't execute as well offensively last night in that game. Pittsburgh ran into a Rangers team that maybe played with the weight of the world off their shoulders a little bit with Jacob Trouba's exit. So we could definitely see, and Pittsburgh, let's be honest, while they were on a nice little win streak there, a lot of them were weaker teams or teams in bad spots. And even the great win that they had, the win against Florida, well, they got badly outshot in that game. What was it, 44-19? And probably should have lost that game, quite honestly, even though they got the job. A fraudulent win, if you will, for Pittsburgh against Florida. Now, that being said, Tristan Jarry's in net tonight on the back-to-back after Nedeljkovic last night. And he has played a lot better lately, but we'll dare him to play well here. Speaking of goalies playing well, yeah, Jarry's played better. Joseph Wool's been awesome. Joseph Wool has got his form back that we have seen in the past from him. Coming off the injury, it took him a little bit of time. But Joseph Wool is playing a lot better right now for Toronto. And I think he'll play well tonight in this game against Pittsburgh. Now, both teams on a back-to-back. It's been very heavy overs with these teams on back-to-backs this year. So I am going to take a very, very small over by Fecta here in this game, but I don't love it as much as Toronto's team total, which is my favorite bet here in this game. So I think Toronto does get going offensively. It's a nice price. It's over 3.5 plus 110 in this game. I think that's the best way to approach it. I'd rather do that than take Toronto, money line or Toronto. Toronto in regulation is not a bad option, but I just feel better with the team total. The talk coming out of last night's game was just not fluid offensively. Credit to Washington for that. Washington's a lot better and capable of a team right now, in my opinion, in their own end compared to Pittsburgh. So I think the Leafs do get 4 goals, and the Leafs have had a track record in these spots of getting 4 goals coming off losses. So Toronto team total over 3.5 is what I like the most. Smaller on the over by Fecta just because of the real strong over trends we've seen with back-to-backs for both teams. What do you think here, Alex? Leafs, Penguins?
This game is a pass for me. Nothing to do with either one of these teams right now.
There you go. Nothing to do. Pass, indeed.
No.
Good stuff. Yeah, as far as props go, good stuff indeed. So again, like I said, awful loss. The Leafs have, and that's been a consistent, even under Berube, who's preaching defense. The Leafs, when they've lost the previous game, they've responded with pretty good offensive production, 4 goals in the majority of their games, off a loss this year. So that's why I like that team total here for Toronto in this game tonight. All right,
you can only trust Toronto, right?
Yeah.
The thing you can't trust what Pittsburgh. That's why this is a weird game. I think back to when I bet against Pittsburgh the other night against Florida. And I like that. I'm like, okay, Florida should roll here and win regulation. That game goes back and forth and goes to OT. So, yeah, Penguins are a tough team. They're a bad team, and I hate when they're bad teams that are tough teams to read. So,
yeah, no doubt. All right, Washington, Montreal. Washington minus 150 road favorite, 6 the total here in this game. I think when you look at this matchup here with the Caps and the Penguins, the Caps and the Canadians, Montreal the rest advantage because they played on Thursday night with the shutout win against Nashville. Washington's coming off the 3-1 win against the Toronto Maple Leafs last night. Logan Thompson obviously in net tonight because it was Charlie Lindgren last night. Sam Montembeault gets the start. Now, it was one of those Sam Montembeault gems. He's had a handful of these this year. And was it Nashville can't score? I think that was part of it. I think part of it, too, was I think he was just playing with a shit ton of adrenaline for getting selected for Canada and Four Nations face-off. I think that, he's like, wow, I got picked. I'm on the team. And he played like a goalie that wants to show everybody, because I think he got kind of some flack from the pundits saying, well, maybe you should have selected, Skinner, or you should have selected someone else, Talbot. You should have selected someone else now in that particular. I know, but that's what I was hearing. I was hearing they should have maybe.
I read that too. Crazy.
I don't agree with that, but that's just what I was hearing from some people, that maybe they should have went with another third goalie instead of Montembeault. And I think Montembeault was like, all right, I'll show you. Shut the hell up. And a shutout and a great performance, especially in the third period. Because I'll be honest, Nashville was pressing really hard in the third period the other night. And Samuel Montembeault was absolutely terrific in net. I think I'm going to stay off this game. I mean, Washington, I don't want to bet against them, but they're laying $1.50 on the road on a back-to-back off a satisfying win. And I like what I've seen out of Montreal since Lionel's been back, 2-0. And you got to bet Laine to score. You got to bet Hudson props. Credit to Alex. He was all over that on Thursday with Lane Hudson. This power play with Hudson manning the point now on the top unit, and Laine now is the trigger man in the face-off dot. That power play's got the potential to make some serious magic for Montreal moving forward. So what? And I actually sprinkled on Hudson power play point plus 500. It was in that Montreal Nashville game. I'm sprinkling on that again here tonight. That power play point prop, Laine to score a goal, even Laine to get a power play pointer as well, because both his goals have been on the power play in these first 2 games. I like those props more than anything, side or total. It's a pass for me on both. I think the total's tricky too, because could go under, could go over, could stay under. Neither one would shock me here. And I'm off the first period over, by the way, with Washington. It's now lost 2 in a row. Still 15-3 in the last 18 games, but I think I'm going to stay off it for one game, for one night, and not go back to it after 2 consecutive losses. That's just me, though. What do you think, Alex? Washington, Montreal.
I am on this first period over. I grabbed minus 122 at FanDuel. And also back to the Lane Hudson with the assist train. He's plus 115 to just get 1 assist at FanDuel. I don't understand that, how you have a guy who was 17 games now with an assist and he's still plus money. So definitely have to take that. And I'm going to add that power play point on as well. I see plus 350. So Lane Hudson power play point, Lane Hudson assist to go along with the first period over.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's good stuff. Like Lane Hudson power play points, just incredible value right now. Really, really like that quite a bit. And again, we will see if he can once again make an impact here for the Montreal Canadiens with the man advantage. But it's just, eventually teams are going to wise up and on the penalty kill and say, well, Lane Hudson's going to look for Laine on the one-timer. But right now they haven't figured it out yet because it's struck twice in each of the first 2 games since Laine has made his Montreal Canadiens debut. All right, we got 2 games left. I like it. Brisk pace on this Saturday. We've got Minnesota and Los Angeles. We've got the Kings upwards of minus 155 home favorites here in this game. The total sitting at 5.5 across the board. Now, it is a back-to-back spot for Minnesota. No question about that. A team that obviously took care of business last night with a strong win against the Anaheim Ducks. See if they can carry that over here into this game tonight. LA is a team that, I took Dallas a little bit against them the other night. Kings got the win there, 3-2. They have played really strong hockey here at home this year, 9-2-1 at Crypto.com Arena for this LA Kings team. They've won 4 home games in a row: Seattle, Winnipeg, Ottawa, and Dallas. So 4 straight home wins, playing well, rest advantage. All of that adds up here as far as LA, but the price, no way at this price. Against Minnesota, not laying that price against this Wild team that's won 5 in a row. It probably will be Marc-Andre Fleury tonight. Indeed, it has been confirmed, Marc-Andre Fleury in net. David Riddick should get the start here for the LA Kings. It is a back-to-back for Minnesota, but again, this is that Anaheim to LA back-to-back where, you don't have to travel much. It's just a bus ride down the freeway, and you're playing your very next game. You look at the series history, Kings have played well against the Wild. They've won 5 of the last 7 meetings, 5-2 in the last 7 meetings. But last year, when these teams played, they played 4 times. Minnesota did win one of the games in LA, 3-1. I think there's value in Minnesota with how good they've played at this price. I don't love it though, because I respect the way the Kings have played at home, and they've beaten me a couple of times now. I took Ottawa against them at home. I took Dallas against them at home and lost both times. I'm not rushing to fade them again. But that being said, value to me is on Minnesota if you're going to bet it at this price. Alex, what do you think? Wild Kings.
Yes, a pass on Saturday total, but there will be another player prop that I like here for the bargain bin.
All right, there we go. And cash, and that, why not stick with those Minnesota games for the bargain bin? Because obviously, Alex, with Marco Rossi last night, over 1.5 points plus 400. And by the way, a bit of a banged up team too is another thing that's keeping me off Minnesota. Brodin and Eriksson Ek, those are big losses. Brodin's always a big loss when he's out, and obviously Eriksson Ek, he misses offense, he misses defense even more when he's out of the lineup.
Give Minnesota a ton of credit because we called this. We said the injury bug was going to bite them because it always does, that they've been able to stay afloat and keep winning. It's amazing.
Yeah, no question. They have been. And now Brodin and Eriksson Ek, 2 big pieces. I did say, now again, I don't love betting LA overs. I don't like betting this team over the total. But I did say with Brodin and Eriksson Ek both out, as long as they remain out, both of them at the same time, you're going to start seeing some overs out of Minnesota. And they're going to feel the need maybe to score a bit more to make up for some of these defensive losses. A key defenseman and one of their best shutdown defensive forwards in Eriksson Ek. And sure enough, they scored 5 last night. I actually think over 5.5, I might dabble in it here. Even though I hate LA overs, man. They just don't always play that kind of style that's congruent with overs. But I feel Minnesota's more of an over team now without Brodin and without certainly without Eriksson Ek. One of their absolute best defensive players up front. No question about that. All right, the final game of this Saturday slate, St. Louis Blues, Edmonton Oilers. We've got Edmonton minus 280 home favorites in this game. The total sitting at 6, shaded to the over. It's one of those deals where if you have not been on the Jim Montgomery betting train like me so far, I would probably say maybe not jump in now and take St. Louis plus 230, because I do think Edmonton has made a concerted effort, and they've talked about it on this homestand. We've got to start playing better hockey on home ice, and we certainly saw them play well against Columbus the other night. But that being said, I've been on this Jim Montgomery train. The St. Louis Blues still undefeated in the road underdog role since Jim Montgomery's taken over as head coach. They're 4-1 with Monty, and the only loss was when they were a home favorite against Philadelphia. They lost in overtime. Every other game they've won. 4-0 on the road, all as underdogs against the Rangers, the Devils, the Jets, and the Flames the other night in overtime, 4-3. So I'm back on St. Louis, plus 230. I'm taking this big price with St. Louis here tonight in this game. Maybe a little smaller bet on the team total for the Blues as well, which you can get a nice 2.5 on it at like plus 115, plus 120 even in some spots with a St. Louis team total over 2.5. And my bargain bin special of the night comes from this game. I don't think you have to split the atom to figure out what that is or who that player is here in this game either. Alex, what do you think here? Blues, Oilers.
Well, yeah, like I said, I've been riding that train with you with St. Louis, so I will be on Blues. I got plus 238 at Caesars. I played it small because it's a Saturday. There's a lot going on. If we have a good winning night, I'll just add a little bit more on with this being the late game.
All right, good stuff indeed. Sorry, distracted by a big run by this great Arizona State running back, Cam Scadaboo, on my screen right now in a 10-10 game, them and Iowa State.
Yeah. I got Arizona State minus 2.5, so
yeah, they're driving again. Big run by Scadaboo inside the 30. What a year that guy's had for the Sun Devils. And I know the Robinsons, especially Ryan, who attends Arizona State, our friend of the show, is cheering on those Sun Devils as they try to not only win the Big 12 championship, punch a playoff ticket as well into the college football playoff. But St. Louis plus 230. Looks like we're going to see Skinner in net for Edmonton, likely Binnington once again for the St. Louis Blues, but that has not been confirmed as of yet. All right, shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. 368 people watching live on either YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter X. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Just like we appreciate all our Patreon members. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. Make sure you sign up, get on board. And again, the goalie charts, totals charts, tons of bonus content. We got Ice Guys Players Suite interview that we recorded this past week. It'll be posted on the site at the end of this week. We're going to have exclusive live betcasts coming up in the new year. We are certainly excited about that and looking forward to it. And, of course, our daily betting card posted each and every day on the Patreon page. Sides, totals, player props from Alex and me each and every day. $10 per month. Again, your subscription goes a long way to keeping the show going long term. $10 per month. The drive for 200 Patreon members is alive. Make sure you sign up. Patreon.com/Ice Guys.
Also, check out iceguys.myspreadshop.com. There's 2 days remaining to save 25% off your order and get free standard shipping. Get everything in time for the holidays and save 25% off. Do not miss out on that. 2 days left. Get that now at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
No question. Congratulations, Bailey. I know you've been talking extensively about the concerns you've had with the bargain bin not hitting for you, but congratulations. You've earned that. It's been a drought, I know, but congratulations. Great to see you hit the your bargain bin yesterday. We've all gone through that. Even though we've had an unbelievable track record since the beginning of last year, I had a huge drought to begin the year with the bargain bin. You're going to have those every now and then when you're consistently recommending plus 300 or better odds with these props in this segment. You're going to have your droughts sometimes, but as long as you can hit, a few of them, man, it's going to add up certainly over the course of the season. Speaking of bargain bin special of the night, we've got bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment. Touchdown, Cam Scadaboo. I love to see that. Arizona State. Bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsbook, Raise Your Game, Tailgater Sofa. And a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
All right, shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc., where you can get 20% off all orders on the site using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. They are the Daily Show sponsor and our exclusive sponsor of the Betcasts, which is a great segue to remind everybody, Tuesday night, this Tuesday, December the 10th, our final Betcast of the year, 2024. Obviously, we'll have more in January, but this will be the last one for this calendar year. This Tuesday night, December the 10th, 7 p.m.
It's our
Eastern
Christmas
time.
party.
Yeah, it's the Ice Guys Christmas party. That's essentially what it is, masquerading as a betcast. No, it's a betcast masquerading as a Christmas party. That's what it is.
Exactly.
But either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. It will be jolly, indeed, and merry and bright, and hopefully bright as far as our bankrolls are concerned on Tuesday night as well. So Tuesday, December the 10th, Ice Guys live betcast, 7 p.m. Eastern. DM me or Alex for a spot on the Betcast, and we'll make sure we get the link sent to you before it begins. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Alex, you're headed to La La Land, Wild and Kings. What do you like for your bargain bin special?
Well, not so fast. We got two of them, and the first one's going to be an early stop in Chicago. We're going to go with Teuvo Teravainen plus 430 anytime goal scorer. I think he's going to be one of the many beneficiaries of this new coaching bump with Anders Sorensen. Loving everything that I'm hearing so far. If he can put all this to practice, the Hawks might be good again, which would be great. So Teuvo Teravainen plus 430 anytime goal scorer. That's my first bargain bin special. My second one is in La La Land. We got the Minnesota Wild. They're still disrespecting my man Marco Rossi. You can get 2 points for him again tonight, plus 520 at FanDuel. This dude's been red hot, and he should have really had 2 goals and an assist last night. So no reason getting off of that train. Give me Marco Rossi 2 points, plus 520. That's the second late night bargain bin special to go along with Teuvo Teravainen and plus 430 on the Early Slot.
There you go. I like it. A couple of bargain bin specials for Alex B. Smith from the Winnipeg, Chicago, and Minnesota, LA games. All right, my bargain bin special of the night. We got to cue it up. Holloway, celebrate. If we bet on Holloway, took some time to celebrate. We celebrated 2 games ago with this guy. Last game, he did not score against Calgary, but this is just not only Holloway playing well and still offensively chipping in goals since Montgomery's been there. It's the old former team angle, the team that wouldn't match the St. Louis Blues for the offer sheet and decided, we're not going to keep you at that dollar amount, and ended up letting them go to St. Louis. So just a little added incentive for Dylan Holloway here tonight against his now former team, the Edmonton Oilers, getting a chance to go up against them. In fact, you could even sprinkle on Broberg, who's the other guy that is facing the Oilers. He's scored a couple of goals this year. He might be more willing to shoot that puck a little bit more facing Edmonton. He's 13-1, by the way, on Philip Broberg to score a goal tonight, plus 1,300. I'll dabble in that, but the official bargain bin special of the night for me tonight, you know it, Dylan Holloway, plus 500 at Bet365. He's still a phenomenal price at Bet365. Even the other books you can get plus 470 at FanDuel, 370 at DraftKings, 475 at BetMGM, 370 at DraftKings, 425 at PointsBet. Still get good prices across the board. The best being, like I said, Bet365. You can get plus 500 there. Dylan Holloway, St. Louis Blues. One more time for my bargain bin special tonight. I think this is a first. I don't think that's ever happened before that I've bet the same player in 3 consecutive games that he's played for bargain bin special of the night. And yet this is what I'm doing here tonight with Dylan Holloway for St. Louis. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
This afternoon, 1901 West Madison, Anders Sorensen making his coaching debut, the 38th coach of the Chicago Blackhawks Hockey Club. I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere, and I think this team is going to rise with it. So plus 170, give me the Chicago Blackhawks on the money line is my Saturday best bet.
There you go, Chicago, plus 170. Great price, obviously, with that for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. The Blackhawks did the old coaching change angle, win that first game for the new coach. It's happened with Joe Sacco with Boston. It happened with Jim Montgomery with St. Louis. And I agree with that. I think it happens today as well for Chicago with Anders Sorensen taking over as the interim head coach. All right, my best bet for this Saturday slate. We'll see where to go with this. I think I'm going to go with. I'm a little torn on a couple of these games. No, I don't like the system plays enough in the Ottawa game. I'm going to go with that Toronto team total. I like that. This team's been very good off a loss. They've been good at getting the offense going off a loss. It's a nice bounce back spot. They weren't thrilled with their performance. They know they can be a little bit better than they were against Washington. Great price on this. Toronto Maple Leafs team total over 3.5 plus 105 at Pinnacle. Leafs team total over for me. For best bet here for this Saturday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. Again, we've got obviously shows coming up every day this week. Sunday, bigger card tomorrow than normal. 7 games on the Sunday slate. So we will definitely get going right at noon Eastern. We'll keep a brisk pace once again to get through the card before the NFL action starts. 3 games on Monday. And then Tuesday, we come at you with the double dip, if you will. The Daily Show at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then, of course, the live betcast, 7 p.m. Eastern time, our final betcast of the year. Looking forward to that coming up on Tuesday night for sure. So make sure you join us for that, because this will be it for us for betcasts until January after the holidays. So we want to pack the house, if you will, pack the place on the betcast coming up on Tuesday night. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games, and good luck. We will be back with you tomorrow on Sunday for another edition of the Ice Guys.